The Chicago Bulls have been on a run, and there's been absolutely one player who's kind of stood out, especially with a lot of the rhetoric that was out, some of it purported by us on this channel, that we got to talk about. Listen, if you're new to the channel, it's your boy P Kid. This is the When You See the Breeze. We're talking about Patrick Williams. Let's get in tune with it, man. Listen, at 8-3, coming off some dominant wins, it feels good. When you're winning, a lot of stuff, the energy feels different, right? Winning cures all. We always say that. Whether you're a Bulls fan or Bears fan, we know that winning cures all. The identity of the team starts to take shape and stuff like that, right? Why? Because you see some success, you start to try to build off of it. I did not anticipate the Bulls to be in a situation where Zach LaVine would be on the benched, whatever, for this mysterious injury and prolonged for 3 to 4 weeks, and us going this run. It's kind of like, this is almost unheard of. And I want people to understand that. And because we get to see what Billy Donovan is doing, how this team is responding, what these other young players are doing now that they have this opportunity, it's kind of clear that you may want to stick that out. Now, that may not be win now scenario. Even though we're 8-3 with a young team, you have some ebbs and flows on how to close out games. But we also have some veterans there. But one player in particular has been absolutely making the most of his opportunity. That is Patrick Williams. Patrick Williams, listen, I said it before, I say it again. Still wouldn't have drafted him number 4. I don't see that. Number 4 overall, I see linchpin of my franchise. I see like potential star of my franchise, stuff like that. I don't necessarily see star of my franchise, but I do see very good serviceable, probably number 2, number 3 option on my team. And there was one point where we didn't even see that. And so from an aspect of what we've gotten from him, let's take a look at his last couple games and what those stats look like. We've gotten out of Patrick Williams, his last couple games, his last game against San Antonio, big dub, by the way. 31 minutes, gave me 18.7 of 11 from the field. Game before that, 34 minutes, gave me 15.6 of 10 from the field. Game before that, Philly, hard covers right there. I know, interesting game right there too. But came out big dub, 13 points, 5 of 13. What I like to see is the fact that he's taking the shots, and he's taking the shots and he's hitting them at a decent clip. Interesting thing about it is he's looking like someone who, especially what he's doing defensively, good number 2, maybe number 3 on this team. Now with DeMar being there, obviously you know that makes him a number 3, because no one's going to sit there and say that Patrick Williams has put up the same type of production Kobe White has. And no, I don't think anyone would say that Kobe White and and Patrick Williams are better than DeMar. I don't think anyone will say that. But what you are seeing is that they're finding their level and they're working together in a way that's crazy. In several of these games, we've had multiple people, not just 1 or 2, but we have multiple people on our team in double digits and things of that nature. And they look great together. The synergy is there. Patrick Williams looks more aggressive. He's playing at a high level. And he looks like, again, because he's on this trajectory, he's getting more shots and he's playing more of his position, I would say. He looks more comfortable in his role. We're starting to see him evolve realistically in ways that just wasn't evident before, mainly because he didn't have that opportunity. So there's some people in our chats and stuff like that have seen us that said, hey, he will get it. He just ain't had the opportunity. To you all's credit, he will is showing me that he has it when he has more opportunity. Now I'm also going to always push back and say he was like early on, they were making sure he got these shots. He's now just making them. And sometimes that takes time. And I have to appreciate that. I have to stand corrected and say, you know what? A little more time and opportunity, he does look like a more serviceable player. I got to give him that. When I cooked him when he played bad, I got to give him credit when he plays well. He's playing well. Now, how does that translate later? How does that translate into his role on this particular team? I don't know, but I want to see where it goes. And I hope and I'm praying that Billy Donovan continues to play or use him in a way that allows us to see this growth, because it was real shaky for the entire Chicago Bulls before we had this nice little run, and it's all predicated off of who we are able to put on the floor. I want people to understand this, and I kind of still stand on this. I made certain statements about this team that was predicated on how they were constructed, how they were being played, and who was being ran on the floor on a consistent basis. If that's the route that your organization is going, I absolutely stood on the fact that Kobe White was a starting two guard on somebody else's team, not the Chicago Bulls. I stood on that Patrick Williams was drafted too high. I still stand on those particular things. If you're gonna run out Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Vooch with all these other young players, that's not gonna work that way. You can't develop two, three young players while still trying to cater to three veterans who are still, in some ways, like Zach LaVine's for sure. He's trying to prove himself within this league. He has a particular goal that may be more individualistic. That's fine, right? Some people may not appreciate that, but that's how he got paid. Like that's how he gets the bread that he gets. That's what you that's what we paid him for. We kind of paid him to be that guy that unfortunately seemed to have hindered some of the individuals. I can't fault him for wanting to be that guy. I can't fault him for wanting to be like his idol. Kobe was a very dynamic personality. He played, in some people's opinion, a very selfish game. That's exactly who Zach LaVine looked up to, modeled his game after in some respects. He's had an interview saying that he looked up to Kobe. Wears 8 because of Kobe. Like, I can't blame him for that. And I think given the opportunity, he could get close in style of play and stuff like that. I can't blame him for that, wanting to be that and having that style of play. What I can say is I can blame the organization for expecting him to curtail his game for everyone else. That's not the type of personality that he has. I can also sit there and blame him for putting that DeMar DeRozan, who again I don't think people expected to be this DeMar DeRozan. I don't think people expected that, but he has been, and he's been killing it. And shout out to him. Shout out to him. He's been balling as well. That just didn't work out the way they intended it, and sometimes that happens. But what also happens is when you have situations like that you try to force, some people's careers get deterred. And I've been really big. We all sit there and mention the Lakers that LeBron traded away, the Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle, and all those people there. Guess what? We all sit there and use that analogy of a team that really could have made it if they had time based off of how they were constructed, but they didn't have time. LeBron came, things changed. B.I. wasn't going to be the same person. Kyle Kuzma wasn't going to be the same person. Like, that's kind of what was happening on the Bulls. Some of these people were put in situations that is unnatural for them. Pwill was put in a situation that apparently is unnatural for him. Kobe White was in a situation that apparently was a little unnatural for him. And I can't fault anyone who had any opinion on how they were currently constructed. It looked like a bad mix, a bad team. What I will do is I will applaud AK for making a decision, because it seems as if they're dead set on parting ways with Zach LaVine. I will applaud Billy Donovan for stepping up to the challenge and utilizing this lineup the right way and putting the right mix of people out there since Zach LaVine has been on the bench and coming up with some beautiful basketball with it. We've seen the best version of Billy Donovan since that's happened. And I'm not going to sit there and say, well, Zach LaVine's the cancer, stuff like that. I'm going to sit there and say that ideologies didn't align. I'm not a Zach apologist, but I do not believe that Zach intentionally wanted to be some type of cancer and stuff like that. I think that gets thrown out there way too much for players for situations that ultimately just didn't work out. And that's okay. That's okay. Now, this is still a Patrick Williams video. And I firmly believe that Patrick Williams can be number 3 on this team, a solid number 3 on this team. Now, that I would say even above Vooch. I would go that far to say even above Vooch because of how he dominates on the defensive end and what he can give you on the offensive end as that continues to develop. Patrick Williams can absolutely be someone that we depend on down the stretch when it comes down to it. I can see it. I can see that coming. I can see him being the Tobias Harris type player for the Chicago Bulls. I can see him being that Chris Middleton type player for the Chicago Bulls. I can see him being that. And I hope that this continues because I want to see us have winning basketball. And I think we will go as far as our young players take us. And that includes, obviously, Patrick Williams. If Patrick Williams is this aggressive, if Patrick Williams is this dynamic, if he continues, and again, if he starts to be more confident within his game and stuff like that, we will see a different Bulls team. It just has to happen that way. And I'm here for it. Now, whether it's love, whether it's hate, whether you believe me or not, I frankly don't care. But put it in the comments. Like, realistically, put all your smoke in the comments. I'll be in there with you. Till next time. Peace.